A second day of testimony in Maxwell Anderson's trial for the murder of Sade Robinson.
And we're here with legal expert, criminal defense attorney Jonathan LaVoy from the law firm of Kim and LaVoy, of course. Jonathan, thanks for being here. I keep waiting for the aha moment to happen in court where I go, okay, there we go. That is the moment that has helped one of the two sides. I don't think I've seen that in the case so far.
No, it's been just a kind of a building block kind of situation where the state is slowly putting together every piece of the puzzle, so at the end they can say, who else did this if it wasn't Maxwell Anderson?
And let's talk about some of the exhibits and the witnesses that were introduced. They're all, for the first part, establishing where Sade Robinson was the morning before she disappeared and where her car was. Why is that so important?
It's important for the state to be able to establish where both parties were the entire time, to put them together, to put Maxwell Anderson in each of the scenes that we're talking about, Warnemont Park, where the car was burning, his apartment, the date, and at the end of the day, he's walking back home early in the morning after getting off the bus. They're painting a picture that he was along for the ride the entire time.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it's unfolded. I want to ask you about something that happened before this trial, this confidential informant. There were court documents that said a confidential informant came forward and said they spoke with Maxwell Anderson about killing Sade Robinson and were in his basement. It looked kind of like, I don't know, a surgical area, plastic up and saws. But in the trial, we haven't heard anything about that. Is it safe to assume if we haven't heard it yet, we're not going to hear anything about this confidential informant?
Confidential informants are always a big problem. You never know what the motives are behind why somebody might come forward. The state did not bring up this confidential informant in their opening statement, and I'm not sure we're going to see that person along the rest of the trial.
Jumping to the afternoon, the testimony focusing on that burned out car. We still have not heard testimony connecting Robinson and Anderson in the same place. They're focusing on the car. Again, explain, what's the motive here?
Well, the reason you burn a car up is to destroy evidence. And they're trying to put Mr. Anderson in a position of destroying evidence and being in the location where this car was. And we heard about seat locations today, that the seat was in a position that wouldn't have been
that it was farther back.
Yeah,
exactly.
With a detective who was the exact height of Maxwell Anderson.
Right.
They put him in there, right?
So they're trying to put Maxwell Anderson at or around that car to prove that he was the one that torched it to try to destroy evidence, and that looks bad for him.
Yeah, I've been listening and waiting for, sometimes you hear, like in the Diddy case, star witness, star witness. This is a case with not a lot of star witnesses. I mean, we've heard from a lot of people, but they're talking about seeing them before the homicide allegedly happened, and then the evidence afterwards. We haven't had a star witness to really pinpoint what happened inside that house.
That's the question. What happened during all of these hours? And that's really what the defense has to focus on. Is there another explanation for this? Is there potential other people involved? There has to be some reasonable doubt that's sowed. And I think the defense really has to start pressing the gas a little bit and trying to challenge what the police did and maybe what the police didn't do.
So where do we go from here? We have established where Sade Robinson was the morning she disappeared and, you know, her day, where her car ended up. Where do you think it goes next?
Well, the state at the end of the day is going to say there's no other explanation but for Maxwell Anderson being responsible for her death. We know she was murdered, we know she was dismembered, and we know somebody did it. The issue is who did it? And the defense really needs to be able to present, again, an alternative option for the jury if they have any ability to show reasonable doubt in this case.
We're continuing our coverage tonight in the high-profile trial of Maxwell Anderson, the man accused of killing Sade Robinson.
A lot of new and compelling evidence presented in the courtroom today, and we are joined tonight by legal expert and criminal defense attorney Jonathan LaVoy from the law firm Kim and LaVoy. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Let's start with that. Let's talk about the drugs found in Robinson's apartment. Medical records say, we brought this up earlier, that she didn't have drugs in her system when she died, but weed, marijuana, and meth pills were found in that apartment. The family was not happy about that, of course, and the judge ultimately allowed that to be brought in for the jury to hear. Why do you think that they fought so hard to keep that in, the defense?
That makes sense to me that the judge allowed it in, because if the judge would have denied that evidence, that would be an appealable issue, that the defense would have said that we had a potential defense or a potential issue that would have helped us, and the judge would have denied it. So the judge was smart to allow that in. Where that all goes remains to be seen.
Yeah, but Sade Robinson, she's killed, dismembered. What's it matter if she's got drugs in her apartment?
The issue is the defense might say that she's involved in other things in her life that might put her in danger. That if she's involved in the drug world, that there could be an alternative theory as to what happened to her. And we'll see if the defense works on that theory as they progress their case.
I want to ask you about the car, because there's so much focus on that burned out car. And my estimation, if you can pinpoint Maxwell Anderson to being at that burned out car, that's the case, couldn't it be?
I think it's crucial evidence. I mean, it puts him at the scene in the morning. He's been with her throughout the night, and he's destroying evidence. I think it's a key piece of evidence, but it's only one of the many building blocks the state's presenting.
We talked a little bit about, you're kind of alluding to that now, and about the drugs. The defense really has to establish somebody else could have been responsible. I mean, you don't have a murder weapon. It's plausible there could be somebody else. Isn't that what they're trying to establish right now?
I think that's exactly right. In order for the defense to establish reasonable doubt, the jury's going to have to believe that the police missed something, that there might be another explanation for all of this. Simply not having the murder weapon is helpful to the defense, but I don't think it's enough. I think they have to establish that the police could have done more and should have explored other options, and maybe the drugs could be that area.
Yeah, I've been watching Maxwell Anderson, and I have noticed really no emotion from him. And they're taking out burned items from Sade Robinson's car that she was wearing the night that he was with her. You're a defense attorney. Do you tell your clients not to react during a trial, or do you tell them do react and have emotion?
I think it's important to think about how he's showing to the jury. I don't think he's going to testify in this trial. So what the jury is seeing is what they're likely going to get of him. His emotions aren't great. His affects isn't great. And as a defense attorney, absolutely, you want to make sure that when the jury has eyes on your client, that they're engaged, that they're
watching him. I mean,
focused. They're absolutely watching every move that he makes throughout that trial.
Yeah, when that evidence was shown there, we see them, and it's really almost like a tennis match where you're going back and forth and back and forth. What will the defense need to focus on as this case moves forward to show reasonable doubt? We hear this all the time. It's almost like a phrase, reasonable doubt. What exactly does that mean?
Because I don't think Mr. Anderson's going to testify, the focus has to be on the police work and what the police may have missed. Tunnel vision, maybe that the police were focused so much on Mr. Anderson that they missed something or that they got something wrong. So reasonable doubt really comes into, was this a fair investigation? Was it a complete investigation? And did Mr. Anderson really get a fair shot in the way that the police conducted their business?
Well, I think the state's been setting this up. I think we have really interesting days ahead in this trial.
This is going to be a very interesting end of this trial.
Yeah, Jonathan LaVoy, thank you for your expertise, and we're going to be talking to you, of course, in the days to come.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. And as the Anderson trial continues, we're streaming it gavel to gavel on Fox Local, the Fox Local mobile app. There's been so many people on the FOX6 News Milwaukee YouTube channel.
Also on Fox Local, you are free to review any previous day's testimony and check out more in-depth coverage of the murder of Sade Robinson.